everybody, Mark Hunt here. An update on progress on Taylor's Wave. It's good news. As you can see, we're experiencing a bit of a cold snap here in Woodfin. Progress on the wave is continuing nonetheless. We're also in today's episode going to cover a little history of things that have happened along the riverfront here over the decades. Stick around for all of it. In our last episode, we mentioned a pause in work to resolve engineering and design questions after the flood, to coordinate with funders, with FEMA, and with permitting agencies, and to ensure that we were ready to move forward. While some questions remain, the news has been all positive, and that allows Baker Grading to restart work. The past few weeks, Baker Grading has been focused on excavating this landfill area here on shore. It is the future expansion area for Riverside Park. This land was once an old private landfill filled with debris from demolished buildings, mostly from the Drexel Heritage Furniture Plant at what is now the site of Silverline Plastics. It burned down in 1974. A key goal in the project is to recycle as much of the material out of this landfill as we possibly can. Excavators are sorting and recycling concrete, metal, smaller materials, while non-recyclable waste is being properly disposed of. In total, we're removing 24,000 cubic yards of material from the river's edge, improving the health of the French Broad River and creating a cleaner space for recreation. The excavation should be completed in a few more weeks. We also discussed in that last video how the temporary cofferdam was damaged in the flood. The good news, it's mostly repaired and should be fully functional very soon. After finalizing some more engineering, we should be able to drain the work area and get back to work in the riverbed building the wave structure in the next few weeks. As for the old railroad bridge remnants in the riverbed, Baker has made significant progress removing that debris from the right side of the river. We expect to finish cleaning up the rest of it when the work shifts to the left side of the river in a few months. And these are some of those very large timbers used to build the bridge pilings. There was a bit of damage here in the existing portion of Riverside Park, especially some severe stream bank erosion. Luckily, the construction contract for Baker Grading has now been expanded to include restoration of this shoreline. A shout out to leaders at the town of Woodfin, to our design partners at S2O and Equinox, to funders, to permitting agencies, and of course, Baker Grading for pushing through here post-Helene floods. Thank you all. Now, let's move into some history. And we'll start by getting our bearings geographically. The French Broad River runs northward through Asheville and into the town of Woodfin. The site for Taylor's Wave is about 4 miles north of downtown Asheville. We're going to cover a few different historic places along the river in Woodfin, and this map will help you understand where they are. They are all within about a mile of Taylor's Wave. As you watch, feel free to rewind back to this image for reference. Until the arrival of permanent European settlers, this area was home to the Cherokee and earlier native populations. For decades after Europeans began settling in the 1700s, transportation was generally on foot or horseback along narrow woodland trails. Built in the 1820s, well before railroads arrived, the Buncombe Turnpike was the region's first improved road, running along the river from Tennessee through Asheville and onward to South Carolina. It passed right through what is now Riverside Park and the site for Taylor's Wave. Frequent flood damage to the turnpike and the arrival of the steam locomotive in the 1880s led to its eventual abandonment. The Craggy Dam and Power Plant, built in 1904 by the W.T. Weaver Power Company, was once a primary source of electricity for area homes and businesses, for modern streetlights, and for Asheville's streetcar system. The dam's reservoir, originally named Lake Toccoiastie, was a popular leisure spot for locals in the early 20th century. Toccoiastie was the Cherokee name for the French Broad, and it translates as racing waters. By the 1940s, the dam and the power plant were out of service. Soon after the dam was completed, the Martel Corporation of New York built a textile mill nearby to take advantage of cheap labor, the proximity to electricity, and water from the reservoir. The company built a cluster of homes nearby as well to house workers, and it is still known today by some as Martel Village. After the mill closed in the 1980s, the site was repurposed into light manufacturing and small businesses, which continue today as the mill at Riverside. Owners of the mill property made generous philanthropic contributions of land in recent decades for Riverside Park and for the French Broad River Academy. In 1906, Asheville's extensive streetcar system was expanded northward from its station on North Charlotte Street at Macon Avenue through what is now the Grove Park Inn Golf Course and the land now covered by Beaver Lake to connect the Martel textile mill with Asheville. It operated into the 1920s. Additionally, a railroad spur and bridge were built to connect the mill to the Southern Railroad line on the west side of the French Broad River at the small village of Craggy. That bridge, using rock-filled cribs as pilings, was destroyed by floods through the mid-1900s, leaving debris in the riverbed. That debris makes up the remnants Baker has just been removing from the river. After the bridge failures, to reconnect the mill and other industrial sites in Woodfin to the regional rail network, a new spur was built along the east side of the river to Asheville during the 1960s. Today, Craggy Line Excursion Railway maintains parts of this historic system, offering fun trips for families, especially with kids. Craggy Line is a strong supporter of the Woodfin Greenway and Blueway effort, and the town of Woodfin is proud to have included a platform in its recent Silverline Park project for train guests. In the 1960s, the Metropolitan Sewage District was established with a plant near the dam. In the 1980s, MSD restored the dam and power plant to supply electricity for sewage treatment purposes. A study is currently underway to assess the potential removal of the aging dam to improve the river's ecology and support further recreational and economic development. A mile south of here is the site of Craggy Prison, built in 1924. Adjacent to it were the Department of Transportation facilities for Buncombe County. Together, they represent an unfortunate part of the region's history where prison labor was used in road construction. The prison closed in the 1980s and has fallen into disrepair. It's fascinating to think about how this area, once remote and initially developed for uses we just discussed, is evolving with projects like Woodfin Greenway and Blueway, growing population, and ongoing revitalization efforts. What will all this look like 100 years from now? That's it for this episode of Building Taylor's Wave. Make sure and subscribe either to the Town of Woodfin's YouTube channel or my own personal one, Mark Hunt, for past episodes and future updates. We'll be back in a few weeks with another episode.